Okay, so this reads, he wrote hits for Chris Brown and still ended up broke. Whoa, that's kind of interesting. Who is this? I'm about to find out. About to find out who it is.
Now, if you've been on social media the last few days, you've probably seen people talking about a Kevin McCall, the singer and rapper who once
Kevin
wrote
McCall.
multiple hit records for Chris Brown and is now admitting he's on government assistance just to survive. Kevin McCall is the guy who helped Chris Brown write records like Deuces and Strip, along with multiple other songs that helped shape Chris Brown's comeback era over a decade ago. But just a few days ago, during a live podcast, Kevin broke down crying and revealed he's currently on EBT, which is the US government's electronic system for distributing welfare food assistance, and claimed that Chris Brown still owes him $25,000.
Got an EBT card.
Wow.
Is at Breezy Bowl and made 90 whatever the million, and it say KKKKK Mac. Can I get 25,000 for them four songs I owe you, bro? I just want to leave, bro.
Leading up to who he is.
I'm not even tripping though. I got an EBT card, my nigga. Like what the fuck? I can't even get nothing, bro, man. Y'all want to see me crying here, so y'all can think I'm a bro. That ain't fair. Nigga.
Hey,
I'm on EBT, bro.
hey,
That's why.
hey.
Dang.
Able to build
This has been one of the most viral stories in the music world over the past few days, and exploded even more after Chris Brown himself responded. Now, this video isn't about defending Chris Brown or clowning Kevin McCall. It's about what happens when ego burns the very bridges that once fed you, and why talent alone will never save you in the music industry. Let's take it back for a second and talk about who Kevin McCall actually is and where his story starts. Before we talk about accountability, we need to understand the context. Kevin McCall is a 40-year-old singer and rapper from Los Angeles who got his first big break back in 2010 after working closely with Chris Brown on multiple Billboard charting songs, including Deuces featuring Tyga, which was actually produced by Kevin McCall himself. Beyond that record, he was one of the major writers on Chris Brown's 2011 album, Fame, Forgiving All My Enemies, and he continued writing for Chris on songs released in 2012 along with several of his mixtapes. And through that connection alone, Kevin ended up working with names like Big Sean, Justin Bieber, and a handful of other major artists across the industry. Eventually, he signed a joint venture deal with Chris Brown under RCA Records. It was a publishing deal and a major label situation that should have been his moment to finally launch as a writer and potentially as an artist. But a few years later, they actually separated, and that's where everything started to go left. Kevin McCall's career never became what it was supposed to be. He had the writing skills, he had the relationships, he had real industry positioning, but none of it translated into long-term stability. And the question is, why? Now, Kevin's side of the story is this. It all started with the song Deuces. And according to Kevin, this was actually a song he initially came up with that he essentially gave to Chris Brown. Wouldn't be far from believable because he was signed under Chris as a writer, and writers not only write records, but they also produce them. And the concept of giving away songs in this manner is very common, okay? He apparently sent it to Chris while they were working on a joint project with Tyga, and Chris instantly fell in love with the song, to the point where he literally told him, "I need that record." Kevin agreed, but only under one condition. If Chris was taking the record, Kevin was staying on it. And that's why he ended up as the last verse on the song. And at first, everything looked perfect. The song blew up, Kevin started touring, he was in a Strip music video, labels were interested, and it felt like he was finally about to become a true star, not just as a background writer, but potentially as a musical artist. But here's what happened according to his side of the story. Even with a Billboard hit, he wasn't getting paid. They kept misspelling his name in the credits, cutting his verses off on the radio, and the money wasn't, apparently, according to him, coming in the way he thought it would. Because in his mind, he wrote the song, he produced the song, but was still being treated like he was expendable. And over time, the relationship started to shift. He stated that Chris was moving differently. More people were coming around him. Kevin didn't like the energy. He felt surrounded by fake people, and instead of adapting, he started to slowly distance himself. And that's when he went from being close to Chris like some skinny jeans, pause, to being slowly pushed out of the picture, according to him. He spoke on all this publicly over 10 years ago on Vlad TV. Now, their issues publicly, however, started in March 2016, over 9 years ago. And this happened after Kevin publicly called out Chris on X, formerly known as Twitter, by saying, "We need to sit down and handle business. I tried the adult business route. I feel my kindness is being taken for weakness." He also added saying, "I promise he will never respond or resolve the issue like men. #coward." However, he was wrong because Chris went ballistic. he unleashed a full Harry Potter book in an Instagram comment. A long, explosive message full of threats and disrespect, among many other things. Chris said, "I'm not no little kid and all that gangsta shit these niggas claiming they doing ain't about shit. On Paru, keep talking. This street shit is what I'm great at, a lot better than this music. You better check them loose lips before I show you the real devil, my nigga. You ain't shit, ain't gonna ever be shit. Broke ass, bottom feeder, when I busted my ass so you could have the life you wanted and career. You're your own worst enemy, but what I'm not is a pussy. Keep talking that gang shit, nigga. You know where I'm at, and I ain't finna keep letting your lonely broke ass to keep sliding and sneak dissing. Fuck your hood, nigga." So Chris was basically making it clear, if you want to take it there, I'll take it there. And Kevin sent a few responses back, but Chris didn't react publicly after this until he put up this video on social media.
If this nigga wrote all these songs that he claiming he wrote, why he ain't write no more? Oh wait, this is just one part of my house. This is life before K-Mac and life after K-Mac. Man, I'm gonna stop playing with this nigga.
So that was a clip of Briss Breezy, okay? Not Chris Breezy, Briss Breezy clowning him. And this was the first real public fallout between these two. And from that moment on, Kevin McCall continued taking shots at Chris for years on interviews, social media, and all that. But Chris never entertained it, never responded, not once. He just completely shut that door behind him. And here's where things get really dark, okay? Because this wasn't just some petty back and forth between two artists. Now, they both said things that crossed the line, and at one point, it looked like it was about to go beyond just words on social media, and they were probably about to take it, to the streets, right? On some street shit. Now, a few years later, Kevin McCall was shot in the foot while in Los Angeles, and rumors started surfacing that Chris Brown allegedly had something to do with it. Now, that was never proven to be accurate. However, Kevin was seeing the chit-chats, and instead of just shutting the rumors down, he did something completely different, which is he publicly threatened Chris Brown, even claiming that the only reason Chris was still alive in Los Angeles was because of his protection, and that he couldn't guarantee Chris would even make it to 29 years old. But then he crossed a line you can never walk back from. He threatened Chris Brown's 4-year-old daughter, saying that if Chris had anything to do with the shooting, his daughter would end up in a casket. Chris Brown and his seed would be in a casket if he had anything to do with me being shot, Kevin said on Twitter. Now, he said this in 2018, and the beef didn't really stay alive, right? Kevin held this grudge against Chris ever since, and CB, he just moved on like he always did, right? And now years later, here we are. Now, the clip went viral a few days ago, and a lot of people have been talking about this history, right? Like the story behind these two. And judging from the clip alone, obviously the man is clearly struggling, okay? Yes, he's in pain, but we're not gonna sit here and pretend like he's just a victim, okay? Because I don't care what industry you're in, once you threaten someone's child, a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, you've crossed a line you can never walk back from. And to me, that's not just emotion, that's pure evil, okay? On top of that, before this podcast interview, he actually decided to call out Bryson Tiller for no reason, right? And basically, he said that Bryson Tiller is gay. I don't know why. This was after Bryson actually recently gifted Chris Brown a Lamborghini as a thank you for bringing him on tour. And Kevin, he posted this on Instagram and said, at Bryson Tiller, I told you, little bro, crazy light-skinned niggas got the best bussy. He got you hooked now too, huh? That should fire, huh? Question mark. Gay pride paperwork party soon? Question mark. So as you can see, Kevin McCall is far from innocent. This isn't a simple case of the industry did him dirty and he did nothing wrong. He played a major role in ending up exactly where he is, but more on that later. After the clip went viral, Chris Brown actually responded to it, and he posted this on Instagram and said, remember this, you can't walk across a burnt bridge. And you know what's funnier than a troll? A broke one. Now, according to Kevin, Chris still owes him money for the songs he wrote. And I don't know how accurate that is, but what we do know is that he wrote real records for Chris Brown. He was officially signed through Chris Brown. He had legitimate placements, and over a decade later, he's now on government assistance. Now, I want to talk about a few things, and the biggest one is accountability. This is one of the most viral stories in the music and hip-hop scene right now, and everybody's reacting to the clip of Kevin breaking down crying. First of all, I'm not here to clown this man. Whatever he and Chris Brown had between them, that's their business. However, as you can see, it's very hard to feel sorry for this guy because here's the thing, right? There are millions of people struggling right now. People who did everything right. They worked a job, got laid off, no connections, grew up in poverty, and they're not on camera blaming someone else for their situation. And there's nothing shameful about being at a low point in your life or even shedding a tear if you're talking about something that has impacted you deeply. But there's something wrong with making another man the reason for why you're there. And that's what it sounds like to me, because nothing in that clip to me screamed humility. What I heard was, this is what he did to me. He owes me. This isn't fair. Meanwhile, facts are the facts, okay? He did have placements with one of the biggest artists of this generation. Also, he said that he sold his catalog for $500,000, but after splits, he only saw $250,000, bought his mom a house for $50,000, and the rest got swallowed by child support and legal costs. And the fact is, Kevin McCall did have the relationships. He wasn't some outsider looking in. I mean, he literally worked as a writer for Justin Bieber on top of that, right? He was inside the door. He had direct access to one of the biggest artists of this generation. But now that everything has gone wrong, it's Chris Brown's fault. I don't really buy that. And I don't really know what to think about the business side of things. I wasn't there. But according to Kevin himself, everything was being handled through Chris, which included paperwork, publishing, deals, all of it. And Kevin admitted that he had no idea what was actually happening behind the scenes. So, a few things off the bat that we've learned: money management matters, lump sums are not wealth, obligations come first, and lastly, humility matters, because ego will blind you to the very people sent to help you. Also, accountability is a non-negotiable, because the moment your entire story becomes about how someone owed you, you've already handed them the steering wheel to your life. There are so many people in this world who never get a shot. But when someone does get the opportunity, they waste it blaming someone else instead of building something new. And also, he spoke about how he blew millions in this interview from over 6 years ago.
It's your boy Kevin McCall. I blew a bag, but like they say, you're never a millionaire until you lose your first million.
So he did get money while he was in the industry. When rapper and singer I Love McConan popped up online a few weeks ago and said that he was working a regular job, a lot of people try to clown him for it.
Man, if you need me to come guest chef at your motherfucking spot, holla at me.
But notice something different here. McConan never blamed Drake. He never threw anyone under the bus. He never jumped online talking about who owed him. He put his head down, stayed true to himself, handled his setbacks with humility, not bitterness. And because of that, I genuinely believe that he will bounce back, whether it's in music or somewhere else in life. That's the difference. At some point in life, we're all going to be up and we're all going to be down. Nobody stays in the same position forever, but the moment you start putting all the responsibility on external factors, on what someone should have done for you, is the moment you lose your power to change anything. You can't control what someone owes you. You can, however, control what you build next, which makes this even more tragic because he did get money at one point, right? So the real issue was never opportunity, it was management. This is why I always say that be careful what bridges you burn in life, because some bridges are the only way back across the water when you need them. You never want to be in a position where you do a bunch of people wrong and then you need those same people later, only to realize the bridge is already gone. Some people might hear this story and say, well, if he's claiming he didn't get paid, isn't that him getting screwed? But here's a difference. There's a difference between being taken advantage of and letting yourself be unprotected, because nobody forced him to sign paperwork he didn't understand. Nobody forced him to let another man control his entire business. Nobody forced him to burn the very bridges that could have saved him later. At some point, you can be a victim of the industry, but still responsible for how you respond to it. Because there are a lot of artists who lose everything, but they still bounce back. Not because they're the most talented, but because they built the right relationships. They treated people well. They moved with integrity. So when life humbled them, someone made a call, someone reopened a door because their reputation worked for them, even when their career wasn't. I always say talent might get you in the door, but character is what decides if the door stays open when you fall. If you generally stand 10 toes on your morals, your principles, your ethics, not just when things are good, but especially when things fall apart, you'll never truly be alone in this industry or in life, period. Because real character echoes. Your name travels further than your music. People start vouching for you in corners of the world you didn't even know your name reached. Before you know it, your reputation and your spirit carries you into places talent alone never could. When people respect who you are, not just what you create, they don't let you disappear when you fall. Because when your spirit is stamped with integrity, people become lifelines. They'll refuse to let your story sink, even when you already think you're drowning. And if there's anyone watching this who might be in that dark place right now, never lose that purity inside of you. Even if you've lost everything, you can rebuild it. People will always recognize real light when they see it, and as long as you stay true and lean into who you are, help will find you. Opportunities will circle back. Your time will come. Just don't waste it blaming the world for where you are, because the moment you take ownership is the moment your comeback begins. If you made it this far, drop a like on this video. Honestly, it's really crazy that Kevin McCall ended up in this position, but I have to be honest, man. All of this honestly was self-inflicted, right? When you spend years blaming another man for your downfall, is it really a surprise that you end up in a position like this? I don't think so. Life doesn't reward bad behavior, man. It never has, and it never will. I'm curious what you guys think about this story, though. I'll catch you guys in the next video, man. Peace. I'm out.
Of course, it's one person I've really never heard before. It's very interesting, but it's just all about. It's all just about rebuilding, just getting better, getting stronger. There's no like looking back at it, turning back towards it, addressing it. It's like whatever happened, it happened on that time. There's no point in me. There's no point in trying to go back and trying to fix it or just trying to own up to it or even address it, especially if you can't really do nothing about it.